After a panorama, after the HDR, we are going to do an HDR panorama. It's like the best of both worlds. This is Big Sur, California. I got so lucky I was there. This was the second time I think I was there. And I got there, it's like a lagoon that has like a little waterfall there. It's completely protected, so you can only shoot it from up high. But I got there with the most incredible sunset that I've seen in California. It was just red. Look at these colors. And so what I did is I did an HDR. Okay, so normal exposure, underexposure, overexposure, but then I moved a little bit above to get more of the sky. So normal exposure, underexposure, overexposure. Then I moved a little bit to the right, normal exposure, underexposure, overexposure. So it's a total of, I think, I'm thinking something like 3, 6, 9 photos. And before you had to make like an HDR of every photo and then make a panel. And now there is an option. You can select all of it. So then you right click, photo merge, and this time not HDR, not panorama, HDR panorama. And so what that's going to do, it's going to do like a super HDR. And it's like one huge raw file that's going to have all the light from all exposures and all the panorama. So there's just a warning. It says HDR bracket merge with align image on and deghost off. So basically, align is always going to be on, which is like a default option in HDR, and deghost is going to be off, which is, and it says to merge with different settings, merge HDR bracket individually before merging the resulting HDR DNGs to a panorama. Now, in this, so you could, let's say you really had a lot of, moving trees and leaf. You could do, different HDR. Make sure that deghosting is on all the way to avoid having blurry leaf, and then do a final panorama. But in my case, there was not so much wind, so I'm happy. Okay, again, 3 different way of stitching the photo. We've got spherical, cylindrical, and look at spherical. Look how the horizon is completely rounded. I don't like this. Cylindrical is the same in perspective. Perspective is going to be very respectful for the horizon. Okay, perfect. It's very straight. And but I'm missing all this sky here. So I'm going to use this new option called Fill Edge because I've got Lightroom 9. It's just came out where contoured outward fill and Photoshop technology is within, Lightroom, which is really cool. So, so it filled all the gap of what I was missing. Of course, it did like a really kind of weird job, but it's going to be helpful for the sky. So I'm going to click on merge, and that's going to take a while because it's going to have to do 3 HDRs and then 1 panorama. This is the result. I'm going to hide this. I'm going to hide this so that we can work better and see it better. Make this a little smaller for now. So we have more, real estate. So you can see here, we have got like the some weird stuff that came, with the content award field, maybe here also a little bit. But it, it's going to help us make this photo awesome. So I'm going to crop it. And I shot this with like a 12 million camera. So I had very pixel at first, but, because it was a Sony A7S, I think. And now it's going to be much, I'm going to have a lot more pixel because I use the camera, because I use the panorama. So the horizon is not straight. So let's make it straight. Okay, here it is straight. I don't want this. I want to be really on the scene. Something like this. I'm thinking something like this. Okay. Yeah, let's go for like a little panorama feeling here. And something like this. Okay, cool. So now we got like a super raw file. And instead of being like 12 million pixel, it's still like 7,000 pixel. I mean, it's just way better because it's so many photos together. So let's open up the shadows. Ooh, and bring on the highlights. Something weird there, so we might have to go to Photoshop for that, but we'll see. We will see. There's different ways of doing that, and then I want to avoid going to Photoshop at all cost. Doing the black points and doing the white. Look at this sunset. It was just crazy. I remember I was like, I couldn't believe that I'm at the right place at the right time with the right subject. It was just amazing. Okay, I'm adding a bit of contrast. So let's find the right white balance. So as shot, let's go for daylight. Daylight is going to be a lot warmer. If I go to cloudy, it's going to be really warmer, and shade even warmer. Now I'm going to go to daylight. Daylight, I might even back down some blue and add some magenta, just a tad, not too much because it's going to get really magenta really fast. Yeah, I want to make this maybe a little darker like this. So let's see if we can do something here about the sky. So we can use this tool here. Now there's two ways to use this tool, as a clone or as a hill. We've used it as a hill so far. Let's use it as a clone. See if we can lower the opacity and maybe clone by holding the Option key here. So I want to clone that here just a little bit. Let's see if that's going to help. Yes, it does. So because I have a lower opacity, it's kind of mixing up the and bringing back, making it more natural. I'm liking this. Same thing here. I kind of don't like the clouds here so much. So I'm just bringing like 25% of this clouds here. So holding the Option key, and it's just, I could do this in 2 seconds in Photoshop, but I just want to avoid going into Photoshop. And sky is so random anyway, you know. I think I don't like this part of the sky, and I think I'm too panorama, so I'm gonna back this down a little bit, like this. Yeah, I think that's a better framing for that. And let's do our checklist. So let's go here. I want to, you know, double click on effect, lower the exposure. What a sky, what a sky. It's still a little too, I might have to do some more here of cloning. Well, let's try that. Let's do some more cloning, because when it gets, so I'm going to increase the opacity and really clone some of that sky here. Maybe make my brush bigger. I want to try to clone this here. Let's see. Yes, yes. That was the right way to do. Okay, so let's go back and let's go like this and like this. That was my, oh, look at the sky. It's perfect now. Okay, and so maybe not that strong. And this is not really interesting to me. So I'm going to make one gradient here to make this a bit darker. Another gradient here to make this a little bit darker. You know, you want to guide the eyes of the viewer in the photo. And I think that's crazy. This is one of the best photos I've ever taken. I don't know if you like it, but I love it. Okay, let's add here a little circle. Double click on effects so you can see what I'm doing. I'm starting from scratch. Here is a circle. Make sure invert is on. And let's just add a tad of exposure and a tad of yellow, because that's where the sun was. I want to, you know, make it even more longer and make it going outside. Let's feather it even more so it's more subtle. Something like that. So like that's where the sun was coming. And I think that's all I'm going to do for circle. And for the brush, I want just to burn a few things. I want people to look here. So I'm going to make this a little bit brighter. Maybe some of the water here a little bit brighter. I love this little lagoon there. You have a lot of animals coming there, and it's just like, look at this, like a waterfall on a beach. It looks like a beach from James Bond or something. It's just really cool. And voila, an HDR panorama. And voila, an HDR panorama, one of my favorite photos of all times. I really, really, really like it.